Hey guys, what's up? Two Wheel Turban, and look what we got on the channel today. This is a 2021 Honda Civic Type R in this awesome boost blue, as Honda calls it. It's kind of like similar to what you see on some of the Mustangs. I think Ford offered this color, pretty similar one, as well as some Audis have a similar color, and I think Toyota, there might be Voodoo Blue, pretty similar to that. Really great looking color for this car. But today we're going to be doing a first impressions video. I rigged up some GoPros on the interior, so hopefully we can get some pretty cool inside action of driving this car. So yeah, this is a 2021 Type R. Man, I'm excited to drive this car. It's going to be awesome. I mean, look at these seats. Absolute race car seats. 6-speed manual. Just one of the best shifting manual transmissions out on the market right now. You got some super aggressive styling, as you guys can see. Some people think it's too much. To me, I think it fits the car perfectly, and kind of just has that street racer, Fast and Furious, Hot Wheel type look to it, which just makes it even more exciting to jump in and drive. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do today. Let's go over to the driver's side and get in the car. I'll show you guys kind of what it looks like. So like I said, we got these awesome seats, really aggressive bolstering, so it kind of holds you in place. Red seat belts because race car. Yeah, these seats, man, one of the highlights of the car. Here's the steering wheel. It's an Alcantara. I think they introduced that in 2020. You get a really nice feel with that, kind of supercar type feel. And the shifter is just awesome if we can get it to focus. Yeah guys, this shifter has a great weight to it. The throws are really nice, as you can see. It's just, man, everything about it is just so smooth. It's a lot of fun. And you got a little number plate here, so kind of see what serial number yours is. This is how you toggle into comfort. It's default in sport, and then plus R, which is the most aggressive setting, which I think most Type R owners are probably gonna be driving it in, because that's why you buy a Type R. But I'll show you guys the dash right here. So get the steering wheel out of the way. So the dash is, it's okay. It's a little underwhelming, I think, for it being a sports car. Like, I kind of wish it had a heads-up display like a lot of the newer cars, like the M3 that we had, a really nice one with shift lights and all that. But you can even go, I'll show you some of the menus over here. The one I like is, I think it's this one. This is the shift light one, so like as you rev up, it'll tell you as you're approaching red line. That's really good for more spirited, aggressive driving. The infotainment system, for 2021, not the best, if I'm going to be honest. I think they could have done a lot better with this for it being a 2021 and such a premium car. They should have made this a little bit better. It's not horrible. You know, you're buying this car for the driving experience, not for the infotainment. Not that big of a deal. Like I said, awesome seats up front, and even in the back, they get some red race car seat belts. Pretty nice, right? So you can bring all your friends along to experience the Type R, which is what we are about to do. Got the Valentine 1 on lookout for us. And yeah, we got that, you guys can see that big wing back there, keeping us down, keeping that downforce on this car. But yeah, really nice driving position. So let's get this thing going and get on some roads. All right guys, so the first thing I kind of want to talk about with this car is the driving position. You got a really good driving position. You can get that seat super low, which, you know, if you've driven sports car or anything, that makes a really big difference, feeling really low to the ground. Kind of gives it that just really sporty supercar feel. I used to have a Fiat 500 at Barth, and that was one of my biggest like gripes and things I hated about it, was how it felt like you were sitting in like a pickup truck, like a semi truck. You sat up so high, so you have a really nice seating position. Like I said, look at these seats, just hold you in. I had a friend in here the other day, and he was saying, well, what if you were like 300 pounds? And you know, that's a pretty good critique. I don't know how these seats would be if you were kind of really overweight. That would be a good question. Got some tire stuff. Let's give it some boost. Yeah, so if you're really overweight, definitely probably want to check out this car in person, see if these seats work, because they are really tight. You gotta think, this was made by Japanese people. They're kind of small in general, so it kind of makes sense that these seats are so tight. nice rev matches. I'm sure you guys will hear that throughout this video. Let's see. So you can see that. I mean, that's not me rev matching, that's just the car. Oh man, this thing pulls. Yeah, so starting off in driving position, everything's great. The ergonomics are fantastic. I'm 6 feet tall, which is, you know, kind of close to average, maybe a little bit on the tall side, but car is definitely not too small. Got a lot of headroom. The ergos are great. I love where the shifter's located. Where can I complain there? So after driving position, let's get to shifting feel. Now that's probably one of the highlights of this car. The shifter is fantastic. I've never driven a manual this good, and based off of the reviews that I've seen on YouTube, it seems like the only manual that really kind of comes close to this is well, this semi's going crazy. Is some of the Porsche manuals. I hear those are fantastic, but for Honda, you know, this car is a fraction of a cost of what you're going to pay for a Porsche, and you get this amazing shifting feel which completely transforms the experience. I mean, you can be driving a high horsepower car that handles well, but if the shifting sucks, you're just going to be complaining the whole time. You're going to be miserable. So it's a key aspect of what makes this Type R a lot of fun to drive. All right, let's talk about the next kind of impression I have about this car that a lot of people are going to consider, and that's horsepower. You know, how fast does this car feel? Well, let me give you guys a little bit of a taste right here. Let's see, this can be first gear. Let's see how it pulls. Here we go. Oh my gosh. Wow, it's rowdy. Oh god. Woo! So yeah, that kind of speaks for it. You know, for it having 306 horsepower, you know, a lot of people nowadays, the car industry is crazy. You know, you're surrounded by cars with 600 plus horsepower all the time. So 306 horsepower, you may be thinking in your head, that's got to feel so slow, like, ooh, Ducati V4. Oh, I think that's my neighbor actually. Yep. Yeah, so you would think 306 horsepower, that's going to be a horrible experience. It's going to feel like a FRS or something, right? Well, definitely not, because right before this car we had a wide body Scat Pack which makes like 485 horsepower, and truly, you know, you got to think about also the Scat Pack weighs way more, but truly this car feels just as quick, which is really impressive because those Scat Packs are pretty fast. So for this little Civic to feel that fast, and based on feel alone, it probably actually feels faster, just the way this car builds boost and you going through the gears and how light it is, it being front wheel drive, it's trying to like grab for traction. Just, man, it makes the experience a lot of fun, the way this car builds power. And it kind of leaves me to think that owning this car, I don't understand why people want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to, you know, gain 50 to 100 horsepower, because in the current state, it's already, you know, it being front wheel drive, it's kind of limited. You don't want it to be 400, 500 horsepower because the car is just torque steers like crazy when you get into those numbers. I mean, even at 306 horsepower, I'm having to kind of fight torque steer a good amount. Trouble than any other car I've driven. It just constantly is egging you on to go faster, take corners harder, and just take it up to red line. I mean, it's a very bad influence. It's like that one friend in high school that, you know, your parents don't want you to hang out with. That's the Civic Type R. So wow, listen to that. Oh, the handling's fantastic. Oh my gosh. So with all that horsepower, you got to be thinking, how are the brakes? Because, I mean, that's an important part. You don't want to just be going fast and then you're going into a tight corner and you got no brakes. Well, rest assured, because this car's got plenty of stopping power. I mean, I noticed myself not even coming to the limits of, you know, what the braking really is capable. Golly. Yeah, the braking's fantastic. It doesn't, like, it's not too sensitive where you barely touch it, and these brakes are really good. I wasn't even coming close to like what the limit of these brakes are, and that stopped super fast. But you got to think, this is a front-wheel drive car. It's a Civic, and you know, it's so light compared to all-wheel drive counterparts. I think that's why braking, it just stops super fast. It does an excellent job. All right, now that we've talked a little bit about power, braking, some other stuff, let's talk about steering, which is another, man, it sounds like I'm just repeating myself and working for Honda or something, but the steering is, I've never driven a car with such direct steering. I mean, it's doing exactly what I'm saying it to do. It's insane. It's like a direct steering. You know how most cars, there's kind of vagueness, there's deadness in the wheel. You can turn it, you know, a few inches and the car does nothing. You turn this thing 1 millimeter, it's already responding. You see something in the road, you can get out of the way so fast. Wow. You just want to just go slalom some cones. That's what this car is just begging you to go do. Alright, so now that we've talked about some highlights of this car that, you know, I've seen so far, I want to talk about some things that are, some things that kind of put me off and wish Honda would have done better. And the first thing is the exhaust. I mean, that's probably my biggest complaint with this car. The Veloster N and so many sports cars have active baffle exhaust where when you want it quiet, you can have those baffles oriented where it's quiet, and then when you want it loud, at the press of a button, you're getting real sound that's loud. Well, sadly, that's not the case with the Type R. You're just getting some pumped-in audio when you put it in plus R through the speakers, and in an exhaust tone that kind of just leaves you wanting more. For how this car looks, this thing should be rambunctious. When you downshift, I want to hear pops, like pop, 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 like the Veloster N. Stuff like that, it would just make this experience so much greater, because the driving experience of going through the gears, braking, steering, accelerating is perfect, but it's missing that element of noise, which, as you know, as a car enthusiast or motorcycle enthusiast, you know how important that is, and that's a big complaint with new EVs like Tesla and stuff. You lose that aspect. So if Honda could, you know, do that with the new 11th gen, make an active baffle exhaust, wow, you're gonna get a lot, have a much better driving experience, even though it's already pretty fantastic. So when you see one of these cars, you may be thinking this is like a Sunday, a weekend car that you just go out, have some fun. It's probably not practical, right, for the real world. Well, that's definitely far from the truth. This thing is just an all-around great car. I mean, you can put this thing in comfort, and you get the dampeners to kind of settle down, be a little bit more comfortable, and you're gonna have a pretty nice ride experience. And you got 5 seats. Well, is that 5? You could make that one work if you had to. It's really 4, but if you had to get 5 people, you could. So you can bring your friends. You got 4 doors. Pretty good gas mileage. I think we're averaging like 23, and I've been driving this thing pretty crazy, to be honest. So over 20 miles per gallon, pretty good. You can probably get 25 if you really tried, but do you really want to try for that? Probably not. Storage, the trunk is huge. It being a hatchback, you can put so much stuff in it. I was reading reviews that were saying, you know, it has basically the same storage capacity as a lot of the SUVs in today's market, which is crazy considering this has like the fastest time around the Nürburgring for a front-wheel drive car. Pretty insane, huh? What you can get nowadays. About this car, kind of a small one, but I wish I could hear more turbo noise. I think with the aftermarket intake or blow-off valve, you know, easily solve the problem, but that's another thing. Exhaust and then get some nice turbo noise. That's gonna make this experience insane. It's gonna take it to the next level. this car makes you a better driver just because it's such a good car. It kind of hides some of your flaws, which can be a bad thing, right? But makes you feel cool, makes you feel like a race car driver. Yeah, other than what I've stated, pretty much everything else has been pretty awesome with first impressions on this car. The tires are really grippy, the wheels seem to be pretty good, although some people do downgrade to a 18 to 19-inch wheel because these 20-inch wheels are just, they're sick, but they make the ride quality kind of worse. And you know, I'm sure you could like crack them on a bad pothole if you hit a really bad one. But yeah, that's my first impressions with the Honda Civic Type R. Be sure to subscribe if you're interested in this car, because I'm sure I'm going to be uploading a lot more videos on it, racing other cars, performance tests, everything you can think of. So be on the lookout for that. Yeah, guys, I hope you liked sitting passenger for today's ride in the Type R. And like I said, just be on the lookout for more videos. And thank you guys for all the support and watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.